Hi guys, the date is 29th of November 2025. I wanted to make a video, a little documentation on it's another Notes app video where it's like your ego compared with your self-worth and what's kind of like the difference and how to tell the difference and all of that stuff, where it's kind of like just a bit of a comparison video because I think a lot of people kind of struggle with self-worth, and I definitely do. But while I'm kind of working on self-improvement, that it's sometimes ego shows up and sometimes it's a bit of both, and like you gotta be able to differentiate those. So kind of like the basis is that ego is externally dependent, so it's based on the things around you. I matter because people see me a certain way, and my confidence and strengths when others approve, and weakens when they don't, and then it's very fragile ego because people can like inflate it and pop it, but when it comes to self-worth, it's internally generated. So self-worth kind of says I matter because I exist regardless of how others see me or see it, my confidence, and my confidence is rooted inside me, and so it doesn't rely on an audience. So like, let's say you're listening to music and you got your it's a hot day, so you got your windows open on your car, and it's like you're listening to loudish music, and ego would be playing that music louder so that people can hear it and people could see your confidence because of that. And then self-worth and would be playing the music for the sake of playing the music because you enjoy that music. You don't people can hear it if they want to, but it's not about them hearing it. It's kind of like a view. And then why ego sometimes shows up as confidence, because kind of like describe it as kind of a bulldozer, so that confidence is kind of like I'm gonna do what I want when I want, that ego. And it's like kind of like you can feel confidence, but it's more of a reaction to like often past insecurity or finally feeling strong after being humble for so long. And obviously this doesn't apply to everyone, but I did a lot of people pleasing, and so it really applies to me, definitely. Or like kind of trying to protect your self-worth that still feels fragile. So sometimes in a way where you're trying to protect your self-worth, you're not working on it. It's kind of like your system overcorrecting. I've been small, so now I have to be really big. And this is kind of normal when you've carried low self-worth for so long and then you start self-improving. It's kind of normal to hit that. But how to tell ego from self-worth is open-minded. True confidence doesn't need to win every interaction. It can listen. You can be wrong. You can change your mind if it's true self-worth or true confidence. But ego can't really handle being wrong. When criticism kind of feels like an attack, but with self-worth is criticism is kind of like information, especially with self-improvement. Self-worth kind of feels calm, it isn't super loud. It doesn't need to dominate the room. It doesn't need to be seen by others. The kind of key statement is if your confidence is stable even when others don't notice or agree, that's self-worth. And with humility and self-worth is a hard one, because a lot of times people want to have like they want to see themselves highly and have high confidence. So they think they can't have humility as well, like be humble. But a big confusing thing with that is that they're thinking about ego, and a lot of people have, right, maybe some people have a misconception with ego where at a certain point your ego is self-worth, so your ego is your confidence, and if it gets too big it's bad, and if it gets too small. But ego and self-worth, I think, are completely different. They're just, yeah. So kind of humility and self-worth, to be humble is really needed. You need to hear others, you need to grow, you need to see other perspectives, but humility is often mistaken with people pleasing. I'm going back to that again. I know everybody doesn't have that problem, but if you do, I mean, like, it's like putting yourself last or shrinking to make others feel comfortable or doubting your own value. It's all like that. And humility isn't like, humility is kind of just simple truth. That's a good way to see humility. It's kind of just honesty. But it's honesty about your values. So it's honesty about your strength, your flaws, and not exaggerating either end, It's just, that's kind of what true humility is, which also brings out kind of authenticity. I know I matter, and I know I'm also always learning. And then ego and humility looks like, I need to look humble so people will like me. Yeah, and then it comes to the point where, like, okay, you're not focusing on what other people think now. You have self-worth, but there's that fear that if you only care what you think and you don't care what others think, maybe you're not likable anymore. If I focus on myself, will I become unlikable? Will I drift from social norms? Will I lose connection or miss out on connections because I don't care what others think? And a big thing is self-worth doesn't make you selfish. It makes you authentic. So people aren't drawn to you because you perform for acceptance. They're drawn to you because they feel your groundness, They kind of feel your authenticity, and they like that. Ironically, when you stop chasing people's approval, they respect you more. And when you stop shaping yourself to others' expectations, relationships gets healthier. And when you do things for your well-being, you become more of a magnet, not less, Like your fear, like the fear of that is valid, but it's based on a false assumption. If I stop trying to please people, they'll stop liking me. And in reality, if you stop liking you when you abandon yourself, people stop liking you when you abandon yourself, People love, like, authenticity, and it's like a whole paradox, like, not a paradox, but it's kind of like a chain reaction. When you start bettering yourself, people like you more, and it's kind of like all pointing towards this life that you're trying to shape and the life that you want. And another metaphor is, I'm working out for my health, but also a better body. Where's the balance in that? And what if doing it for health makes me less socially acceptable? That was one of my questions I had to think about, because that was a big one, because I've been going to the gym now. And I think the healthy pride is, I want to feel strong and capable and present in my body. And then if looking good comes with it, that's great. But ego driven, I need my body to be better so people will like me or respect me. And if I stop, I'll lose social value. And the shift you're aiming for is kind of, self-worth moves you toward health, ego moves you toward validation. And I feel like you can put this in any scenario and go through it and realize that the side where you go with self-worth and who you are, it definitely leads you closer to where you want to be, even if you don't realize it now. And you don't lose friends by being yourself. You lose the wrong friends, you know? Sorry, I had to pause it real quick. My mom wanted something. So yeah, you don't lose the wrong things. You keep the right ones. You don't lose the wrong friends. You keep the right ones. That's a big thing. And kind of the line between that is the line you're trying to find. Like, where do you draw the line? What's the clearest way to put it? You just have to really ask yourself, is this action for my self-growth, health, joy, or peace? Or is it for approval, comparison, or image on how other people see you? Like some of the things the examples I've used, like playing music loud for fun is self-worth, just to enjoy the music, and playing music loud to be seen is ego. Working out for health is self-worth. Working out for admiration is ego. Speaking confidently because you believe in your idea, self-worth. Speaking confidently because you want people to hear that you have a good idea, ego. You don't really learn to perfectly balance it. You kind of grow, like, it's not really a balance of some sort. It's more you grow into self-worth. And it just takes with time and practice, you know? Yeah, it's just like, that's kind of all I've written down, but it's like, it's really important, especially for relationships, because I mean, today I was walking in the market, and I mean, I saw one of the most beautiful girls I've seen in my life, like, and like super high energy too, and really fun, and I was just like, I really wanted to go up to talk to her, but I knew what I was feeling at that point was kind of fake confidence. It was more ego, so I was kind of performing from interactions I had with other people that day, and it wasn't very authentic. So, I mean, some people do it one way, other people do it another way, but I think personally I kind of want to focus on getting that kind of self-worth before I focus on, you know, talking to people. And obviously talking to people is reps. Like, you have to work it out. It's kind of like a muscle, like sociability, and that's why I do still, like, go up to people and, you know, like, talk to them, like people I don't even know, you know, and just have a conversation, because like sometimes I'm interested in like what they're doing or something. But it's also like why I didn't go up to that girl is kind of like I wasn't ready for that today. And I mean, I feel like that's fair. And maybe later on, when I feel more confident in who I am and my self-worth, then I'll be able to do that. And once I practice, you know, a little bit more. But I mean, it was a bit of a hit. Like, you're gonna have those setbacks where it just feels like you're making no progress, like, and you know, that's kind of like in America, I had an excuse to go up to like people like that because I knew I was leaving, so it made it a lot easier. But you know, I'm in my hometown, and it's kind of like that fear of rejection a little bit too. That's kind of just something that happened today that kind of riled me up. Well, it was kind of like just a bit, it kind of felt bad, you know, like I wasn't making that much progress. But I kind of just gotta get on here and document it a little bit, like on where I'm at. So maybe once I you know, kind of get a little further, I can come back here and watch this and be like, yeah, that's progress, you know. Even if I just walk up and like just have a chat with her, you know, you don't have to have any intention, and just like say hi, you know. I mean, that's a lot of progress. Yeah, I think this is definitely something I have to work on a lot, but I think talking about is the first step, and kind of start putting into my actions. So when I think about the actions that I'm doing, I've got to process it and kind of think, is this for self-worth, or is this for ego, you know? It's gonna take time, obviously, but just thought I'd get on here, and maybe anyone else, if anyone that ever ends up watching these, maybe some other people have that thing they have to work past, and so they would kind of use these videos, documentations, a little bit. But yeah, that's about it. Yeah, that is the end of the video.